Hi everyone! Welcome back to my channel. I'm Sab if we've never met before, and this is my channel where I talk about my houseplants mostly in passive hydroponics. So if you're interested in that kind of content, don't forget to hit subscribe for upcoming videos. So today we're going to be doing something pretty exciting. This is actually probably the reason I started my YouTube channel, is so that I can share to you guys how I convert my houseplants into passive hydroponics safely. And the operative term there is safely, right? Because I do something different than what you might typically find online. Although this has been said before, like I learned most of these steps from Baby's Plants, which I love her channel so much for converting Hoyas. Anyway, here are the three. Yes, we're converting actually four different plants today into LECA. So the first one is this Hoya obovata variegata. So you can see it's a little bit dehydrated at the moment because I haven't watered this since I got it. Here is Hoya Huschkeliana variegata. Now I'm a little worried about this one because if you can see, this leaf is quite floppy. And I'm not sure if it was like that when I received it or if that happened under my care, because again, I haven't done anything to this. I've just let it acclimate to my environment. But it's only the one leaf, so it might just be stress. It might do better in LECA, we'll see. This Anthurium vitariifolium. And I know this one doesn't look like much right now, but this is a really gorgeous plant. I will insert a photo of what it looks like when it's mature, but it'll get like really long leaves that feel like leather. Right now it kind of feels like a regular leaf. So we'll convert this one to LECA and see if, it likes it there. Finally, we have another Hoya. This is a Hoya carnosa crinkle 8. So yeah, very cute. And the thing is that they're in different mediums, so that's good. I'll be able to show you how I deal with different mediums. Like this one is in cocoa fiber, I think it's called. And the Anthurium vitariifolium is in cocoa husks. I think this is the trickiest one personally because you kind of have to break the husks apart. Like you don't really have a choice. If you put any of the husks in there, it'll rot. But I'm getting ahead of myself. First, let's start with what you will need in order to convert your plants to LECA. So of course, you're gonna need some clean LECA. Now, I've already washed these. I don't boil my LECA. I just really wash them thoroughly. So when you first get LECA from the mail, when you order it online or if you buy it from a shop, it's usually going to be really, really dirty, and that's just all the dust around it. And you'll just have to really wash it until the water runs clear. So what I like to do is I like to put mine on a tray with holes in it, kind of like a strainer, and just let water run through it until the water runs clear. Some people like to soak it overnight and some people like to boil it. I personally don't see a difference. So whichever you prefer, just washing has personally worked for me. And, it's been fine. So LECA is lightweight expanded clay aggregate. But it's basically, clay balls. And that's going to be the medium for the plants. The next thing you will need is a container. I use glass containers, or I try to use glass containers when I'm converting um, small plants or converting them for the first time because I like to be able to see their roots. Although long term, I don't like using these containers because they do accumulate algae. I'll try to show you. Sorry, it's so dirty. Right there, I don't know if you can see that, but I've already cleaned this and it's just so difficult to get the algae off. And in my experience, once algae starts accumulating on the sides of the containers, it's kind of just going to increase from there. And even if you wash it out weekly, which is a lot of work if you have like 100 plants in LECA, right? So yeah, I only use it as a starter and then I switch to a self-watering pot when the plant gets a little bit bigger. But yeah, any container will do. Again, LECA is really flexible. You can use whatever you have at home. If you only have a nursery pot and a Tupperware, you can use those too. I've used them in a pinch. Finally, you don't. The last thing you need is your plant, of course. And I've already shown you what plants I will be converting. So without further ado, let's just get started. So the first thing we want to do is to remove all of the soil or the previous medium. Why don't we start with this Hoya obovata? So this one's just in regular potting soil. Let's just do that. Now this is honestly the most tedious step when converting your plants. It's just removing all of the soil, but it's also the most important, I would say, because if you are not careful, any soil that remains on your plant's roots might eventually cause it to rot, and we don't want that. So as much as possible, remove all of the soil, or as much as you can, because it's not really, sorry, I'm just looking at the roots here, and you will see it's not a very good root system, which is fine because it will be shedding these roots anyway once we put it in LECA. But yeah, the roots that it does have are quite healthy and white, so I'm not worried about that. So this Hoya carnosa crinkle, I'm just pulling it out of the pot and you can already see like some of the roots. This is also kind of hard to remove, the cocoa fiber, so this will be a bit tricky. Okay, so this is the best I can do at the moment with this carnosa. I'll probably have to trim some of these roots just to get rid of all the excess medium. And that's another thing when you're cleaning off the soil or the cocoa husk or whatever medium it's in. Don't be afraid to trim the roots because when you convert plants into LECA, those old roots will die off anyway. You're essentially restarting the plant. It will grow what I call water roots, which are roots better adapted to the new medium. So don't be afraid to like, I would probably just chop these parts off. Okay, and then let's check the Hoya Hushkiliana. Okay, again, not a lot of root, but there are some white ones poking through, so I think we'll be okay. And finally, and the most difficult one, is this Anthurium vitarifolium, because it's in cocoa cubes, right? So let me just carefully pick this up. And you can already see the roots are dangling and hanging onto the cubes. So let me see if I, oh, what? Oh, this is a separate plant. Okay, this just came off. I think this is a separate plant because it's got its own tiny root system. Okay, now I'm nervous because I love this plant. I hope I don't kill it. Oh, I should probably be showing you what I'm doing here. So I'm not doing anything special. I'm really just removing the cubes. I'm trying to be as gentle as possible, but again, they're cocoa cubes, so it's kind of stuck to the plant. Like, there's not much you can do but really break some of the roots off. Like, you can see here, I've broken some of it off. And that's fine. Like, it'll be fine. Okay. So that was a little bit stressful, but here we are. I will be washing these now to just get rid of any extra dirt that I can. And I'll be back after I'm done washing these. So this is how I'm washing my plant. It's nothing really special. I'm just running my fingers through the roots to remove any of the extra dirt. You'll see it kind of just falling off. It's obviously easier with two hands, but yeah. Okay, so that's all the plants washed, and we saved what roots we could. I know it must have been painful to watch me cut off some of the roots, but don't worry, it's totally normal to trim your roots when you're converting plants, especially if it's cumbersome or if it's stuck in cocoa cubes. It's okay. They're going to lose those roots anyway, so you shouldn't be scared. On to the next step. Let's start with putting our Anthurium vityrefolium into LECA. I think I will put this one in this container because I want it to be able to fit in my terrarium. Um, so I'm trying to hold up the little baby, but it's right there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna fill up 1/3 of the pot. I just eyeball it. You can measure it if you want, but I've always just eyeballed it and it's been fine with LECA. So there. And then we want to position our plant right there. Position the plant right there and just fill it up with LECA around it. Okay, and there she is. So she's looking really cute in this little LECA jar. And I'll just do this for the rest of my plants. And that's our Hoya Huschkeliana variegata. So I hope, just give it a bit of a tap there for the LECA to fall into any space that might be vacant. I hope she likes it there. Next, let's do my Carnosa Crinkle 8. And there's our Hoya Carnosa Crinkle 8. Very cute. Finally, we have the Hoya Obovata variegated. I'm just putting it in another one like this. So for this one, I'll just be using this as the reservoir pot. So yeah, you can really use anything with that. And there you go, our Hoya Obovata variegata. I almost ran out of leg. Okay, so what I'm going to talk about now is how you want to safely convert these, because that's the point of this video. So what typically would come next here is that you would put a reservoir into the jars, right? But what I like to do is use something called the shower method, which I learned from one of my favorite Facebook groups for passive hydroponics. I will put them up here if you want to join. What I like to do is I will just search for the plant I want to convert and see if anyone's done it successfully before. And that just gives me a little bit of comfort knowing that someone has converted this plant into passive hydroponics. But anyway, that group is where I learned the shower method from. And what it is basically what it sounds like. Instead of putting a reservoir, you will shower the plant, meaning you just run water through the plant under your sink or under the shower if you really want to. Every 1 to 3 days, depending on how big the plant is or how much it wants water. For example, for this one, I will probably only be watering this every 2 days. And for the Anthurium vityrefolium, I will probably be watering that every day. So what that does is that it gives the roots a chance to convert more easily. And what I mean by that is you're not soaking them in moisture all the time. So, they're used to a wet and dry cycle in soil, and you want to kind of mimic that cycle for them as you convert it to LECA. Now, this is definitely more labor intensive than, using the reservoir method. But if it's a really expensive plant like the Hushkiliana that did not come cheap, I will use this method just to be extra sure that the plant will successfully convert. It does take longer for them to grow water roots with this method. I would say if you use the reservoir method, which is just putting in 1/3 water in your container immediately after putting your plant in LECA, it takes about a week to 2 weeks for water roots to form. But if you're using the shower method, I'd say it would take up to a month for the new roots to form. But again, it's a much safer option if you are converting an expensive plant and you just don't want to risk it. I think for these plants, I will be using the shower method just for the Anthurium vitarifolium, just because it's the priciest one. And yeah, the Hushkiliana, I might use it, but to be honest, halfway through, like after a few days, I get lazy and I just leave a reservoir in there. And it's worked pretty much every time. So you can go with either of those methods, the reservoir or the shower method. It's up to you and what your plant care is like and what you can handle on a day-to-day basis. And that's basically how you convert your plant to LECA safely. Now I want to go through some of the questions you had for me about LECA. I did post on Instagram. If you're not following me, it's at Marble Queen, and I do update about my plants there. Or if you have any questions, it's easier to reach me there because I'm usually online. And we'll just go through some of the questions you asked me. And first, it's Bianca. How do you transition a plant that's root bound? Well, you have to trim the roots in my experience. If it's super root bound, especially if it's a big plant, like if it's in a 6-inch pot or something larger, you'll probably want to trim some of those roots off. Maybe I'd say 50% of the roots off, just to make it easier for you, because again, those roots will shed and will get replaced with water roots, but otherwise everything stays the same. The next question, anything about the nutrient needs in LECA, please? Right. So for nutrients, I use Snap Hydroponics on Shopee. It's a local nutrient solution actually used for growing vegetables. But I know a lot of YouTubers and plant influencers like to use the micro flora. I think it's called. I'll insert a photo of what it's called here. And that seems to be pretty famous. And really, you just follow the instructions on the box. You can dilute it if you're a bit nervous. I just use the full strength and fill my reservoir like once a week or once every 2 weeks with nutrient solution, and the rest I just top up with regular water. I can make like a chore video if that's something you're interested in, like how I maintain my plants in LECA. Just let me know in the comments below. The next question is from Anton. How do you do the shower method? There, I've just explained it, so I hope that was helpful for you. Okay, and then how do you transfer plants if they're in cocoa cubes? Right, so I've just showed you. Um, you do have to break apart the cubes and just remove some of the roots. Like, there's no avoiding it. It's totally fine. The plant will recover. It is scary, but if you are serious about, jumping into passive hydroponics, it's something you have to be prepared to do. Sacrifice some roots. And finally, how many cats do you have and what are their names? I will show you this guy sleeping next to me. His name is Sleepy. Really creative. But they're adopted cats. He's still sleeping. He doesn't want to wake up, but this is Sleepy. Say hi. He's a real sweetheart, and see, he's clinging onto me now. He can fall asleep like this. Yeah, this is one of my cats, and I will insert footage of my second cat who is in her usual hidey hole. So this is my other cat. Her name is Softy, and she likes to hide up here. Hi, Softy. And she's called that because she's really soft. She feels like a velvety anthurium. Yeah. She just hides up here in the cabinet with the luggage. That's it for this video, guys. I hope this was helpful for you. If you do have any questions, make sure to leave them down below, and follow me on Instagram at Marble Queen so you can contact me easily if you have any questions about converting your plants to LECA. But really, I just wouldn't panic if you are converting your plant into LECA and it doesn't look like it's doing well. Just remember there is a transition period and your plant will be stressed from being moved from one medium to another. But if you did all the steps right and you're giving it adequate light, humidity, and it's in the right temperature, it should be fine. So I say just go for it. If you're thinking about trying LECA, the only way to know if it's for you is to really try it. Like I tried it once and now most of my plants are in LECA. So that's it. Thank you for watching, everybody, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!